Right now, we want to go back to the breaking news we first told you about at the top of the show tonight regarding that partial building collapse on South Salina Street in downtown Syracuse.
We want to take another look downtown where Salina Street is closed off in the 300 block, which is right in front of the Landmark Theater, to give you an idea. But the other side of the street, the building that lost half of a wall on one side, sits between the Rite Aid building and also the Rainbow store. Right now, our Alex Ruscilla is standing by live with Mayor Stephanie Miner to tell us more about what she knows and her staff knows about the history of this building and where the problem started. Alex?
Well, yeah, Matt, we're here right now, and 24 to 48 hours from now, this scene could look just like this. Maybe take away a couple of the fire trucks, but both buildings on either side have been, the people have been told to go home for a safety measure. Now here, I'm live right now with Mayor Stephanie Miner. You were able to get up on top of this Rainbow Kids building. What did you see from that vantage point?
There's a huge gaping hole in the side where bricks have collapsed down into the alley next to it. 2 and 3 floors you can see in and see have completely separated and collapsed into the hole, separated from the doors and windows. So it looks like a building that is collapsing from the inside.
This is not new. This has been notice after notice. So you're telling me over the years for these owners, are there any other buildings similar to this one citywide?
Well, we've had this issue with other buildings citywide where owners have just tried to walk away from them. And we've been very vigilant with our legal department chasing them and fining them. And sometimes we've had to take down buildings and say to them, you have to pay the bill for the emergency demolition. That obviously takes time and legal costs associated with that. But in this case, we were telling both owners that they had a property dispute and they needed to figure it out and take care of it because this was an eventuality if this building was not repointed and had investments into it.
Now, even if this is not a publicly owned building, you still are confident you have the ability to take over with this an emergency court
Yeah,
hearing?
well, obviously you can see from the way that we have taped this off that this is a public safety hazard, that this building could collapse and take out, buildings across the street on Salina Street, the buildings next door behind it in Bank Alley. So this is a public safety issue, and as a consequence, we have all of this taped off. You see all these incredible resources. We're going to go to court and probably, in all likelihood, get an emergency demolition order and then start to demolish it very carefully because it is situated in between 2 other buildings.
And that would you're telling me a day, 2 days maybe, that it could stay like this?
At least, because obviously there are major investments on either side of this building. It's very delicate. There are people who work across the street on Salina Street. There are people who park their cars behind it in Bank Alley. There's been major investments by the city and other private developers, and we want to make sure that we do it correctly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mayor. And again, Lewis, as we're coming back here live here on Salina Street, as you just heard, again, for the next day, 2 days at least, this section of Salina Street between West Jefferson and West Fayette Street could stay just like this. So for a traffic advisory, at the very least, Matt and Megan, this section of Salina Street will stay closed for the time being. Now we're live here in Syracuse on Salina Street. I'm Alex Ruscilla. Back to you.
Mayor brings up a good point, Alex, about all the investment on not only on Salina, but on the other side, Bank Alley. If you go back there, that's where a lot of the new residential areas have entrances, and they could be jeopardized if that building should collapse.
It is a precarious situation. We're going to continue to monitor the breaking news and go back to that live throughout the next hour or so.